We're live, yeah? People, Deluded, I'm back again. I'm here with my guy, Curtis. You already know what we're doing at this point. What are you saying, Curtis? I see a smile on your face. Why are you smiling? Why are you happy?
Bro, we won a game and we was a little bit entertaining, you know. I got to appreciate it while I can before Sunday, you know. Hey, do you know what? That was a good game, man. You know, and the goals we scored as well, some quality goals, players playing with freedom, you know, all the things we've been asking for in the Premier League, man. So I enjoyed it. We have to enjoy it before, you know, other things ahead of us that might complicate matters a little bit.
Sunday, we're gonna get into it in a sec. But let me just ask you about Thursday, man. I want to jump straight into it. I was gonna ask you this later, but you set the tone in the true striker. You know, you're a striker. You press from the front. Why is it, that? Because I can answer this, and I've tried to answer it, but why is it that we're playing like this in the Europa League? Everything we ask for, like you said, aggression, ideas, 1-2 touch, taking shots, taking initiative. Why can't we do that in the Premier League at home or away? Why is it just the Europa League now? Like, why can't we take that through to Premier League, or even better yet, can we, in your opinion?
I mean, yeah, because you make a good point there. Obviously, number one, the opposition, the quality of opposition is, you know, makes it easier. We've had an easy group at the end of the day. I don't think any of the three teams in our group would do anything in the Premier League. They'd probably all get relegated, let's be honest.
Facts.
I think when we're in the Europa League, it seems like we've set up to win the game. In the Premier League, I feel like we're trying not to lose. That to me is the difference.
Nail on the head.
Even when we're attacking, bro, you see 4 or 5 players getting in the penalty area. You see that in the Premier League. It's probably Aubameyang on his own. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, with one man crossing the ball, and it's like, come on, you got all 11 men back for the corner in the Premier League. So I think Arteta himself knows they've got that freedom to do that. But I think in the Premier League, he's actually got to do that a little bit as well if he wants to be successful.
He's got to do it a lot more. Let me ask you this, because I listen, me and you, we're probably sick and tired of speaking about, is it the players, is it Arteta, tactics, this and that. Me and you both realize that it is tactical, but we also have to look at the players. Is it a psychological thing now? Because you're seeing it. Like, do you think it's a psychological thing, or do you think it's more tactics or psychological? Because you look at the second half against Sheffield United, and you look at yesterday, and you hear the way someone like Maitland-Niles is speaking, like we came here to win. And based on what you said as well, I don't see any of this when we look at the Premier League. Like, we've got a smile in our face, and I think I speak for you when I say we don't expect to win, you know, but we want to see a team that looks like winning. Like you said, we've set up to win in Europa. Why doesn't it, do you think it's psychological with these players then?
You know, you make a great point. I just saw something before I came on, actually, that the 4 games we've won in the Premier League this season, we went 1-0 up in every game. Fulham, Sheffield United, West Ham, Man United, we always went 1-0 up, and we won them games. So to me, that shows the weakness in the mentality of a lot of these players, and I won't blame Mikel Arteta for that. That is the players, because you look at Villa, Leicester, all these games, Wolves, we're going 1-0 down and we can't turn it around.
No fight back.
And that is the problem. Where is the fight? It's like almost they go 1-0 down. It's like, oh, my head's dropped. Here we go again. We're going to lose. No fight to come back. But when they go 1-0 up, you know, all their shoulders lifting there. We're going to win.
Swagger to it.
Yeah, there's a swagger now. Yeah, 1-0, we can make things happen. But that's not what great teams do.
Facts.
You know, even good teams, you know, you fight, you come back, you at least, you know, even that game against Wolves the other day, a lot of things went wrong. The injuries, you know, the performance wasn't great. But I looked at it and I thought, we're 2-1 down at half time. At least walk away from that game with a point.
At least try to get a point.
At least try. All we did, we put about 20 crosses in the second half. We never looked
Let me ask you on that. What did you think of Arteta's comments about we've made 30-odd crosses? If we keep crossing the ball more, we're going to score? Because for me, it screams lack of ideas. If you've made 30-odd, only 3 have hit the target. Fair enough, there was 1 assist. What have you made of those comments? Because you mentioned crossing.
You know what? I didn't like that. One of my boys is a big Man United fan, and he always used to talk about David Moyes, because when David Moyes was at United, they were putting in 20, 30 crosses a game, because he used to do that at Everton with Baines and Coleman.
And he cross the ball.
Yeah, and he done it. Yeah, and he goes, yo, what kind of football is this? Just crossing it and hoping. Bro, we haven't got a Giroud or a Peter Crouch, a Chris Wood, who's an animal in the air. We got Aubameyang and them man there. They're not great in the air. So
you don't really want to put his head in there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We're putting in 15 crosses in one half. It's not going to happen. It's hit and hope football. And that's what I didn't like about it. You know, Wolves actually changed formation in the second half as if to say, yo, we're 2-1 up, we're good. We'll hold on to this.
That's what they did.
You lot can put crosses in. They got Bolly and Cody and them man who love heading the ball. We got Aubameyang and them man who don't want to head the ball.
Aubameyang's not even there to head it. He's crossing the ball. Like, this is a suicide thing. Like,
yeah, man's whipping it in. So I didn't like that. But reverting back to yesterday, I mean, the Eddie Nketiah goal, that move was fantastic. And as soon as that goal went in, the first thing I did, I celebrated. I sat there and I went, why don't they do that in the Premier League? Like, why are they not even trying to do that in the Premier League? So, look, this is what we need to figure out, why they can't do it.
And for me, that's why, like, tactics are valid, the caliber of players are valid, but it's the mental thing. Like yesterday, like you said, the golfing class, we expect to win. You know, there's not really any pressure. When you're going against Villa before the international break, there's pressure. You know, the handbrake is off. Maybe that's something Arteta needs to look into, but everyone wants to play when the sun is shining. I'm sure they all love playing in front of the fans now. If Sunday was at home and we lost, would it have been a nice place? So I have to really question it. Looking at Sunday quickly, one thing that concerns me, like when I look at it, I see it as, you know, Arteta's kind of, as much as I blame the players, he's kind of struggled when he's gone against managers that know what they're doing of a sort. Like, with all respect to Scott Parker and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, they're not levels. There's a golfing class, clearly. He's gone against Nuno, he's gone against Bielsa, Dean Smith's been at Villa for a while, and obviously he struggled against Nuno as well. Going into that, if you struggle tactically against any manager, do you really want to play Jose Mourinho? How do you see it planning out from a tactical point of view with both teams?
I think Mourinho will be respectful, but I honestly think Mourinho will want to really make us suffer on Sunday. I see it as he will look at that as a chance to really put us to the sword. You know, we're short of confidence. We're not playing well. As I said, we haven't won a game in the Premier League after going a goal down.
Facts.
He will want to score a goal early. He knows heads will drop. So I think he will really want to hurt us. In terms of Arteta, I think he will be cautious. I don't think he will go there and let the handbrake off, as everyone keeps saying. I think he will get people behind the ball. He knows they're strong in attack. And he has done well against some of the bigger sides. So, you know, because that counter-attacking football kind of works because they will come onto you and leave spaces. I think it's a massive game. I think it's a huge game.
You're right with that. It's a massive game, bro.
It's massive. And I think for Mikel Arteta, this could be a turning point in his career at Arsenal. If we get... Look, to me, it's a must-win, but even bigger than that, it's a must-not-lose. Do you know what I mean? We can't lose that game. If we get a draw, if I offered you a draw right now...
We're biting your hand off. I'm saying, Curtis, are you silly?
Give me that. Take it. Burnley at home next week. Keep it moving. Don't lose that game. Don't lose that game. So to me, Arteta's got to pick the right team. That's the first thing for him. You know, he's got big questions in certain areas of the pitch. I don't know if David Luiz is going to be back because of this. He's got to play. He's got to play. I don't want to see Rob Holding playing against Harry Kane and them. You know, Bellerin. As we were saying the other day, every left winger that plays against Bellerin is probably getting a new contract because he looks like a world beater.
Son always does something against us, you know. That's an area you exploit. You put balls in behind, you put balls over the top. Bellerin isn't good 1v1. Midfielders are not going to track runners. That's an area that concerns me. And that brings me to my question. Like, do you think he's going to go with the old guard? Because if you listen to some of his comments, he keeps saying like, yeah, some man might have played their way into the lineup for Sunday. But, you know, we probably have to admit Bellerin will start. Xhaka weren't in the team of any sorts. You know, probably retains faith in Willian. Do you think he goes for that, or he goes with the Maitland-Niles, who had a good game in midfield? He goes for a Nelson, or he even plays Laka in that 10 role?
I have to admit, I'm intrigued by Laka in that 10 role. It's something that I've heard people speak about. And I've even spoke about it before. I said, you know what? I'd love to see him behind Aubameyang rather than playing through the middle, dropping deep with no one in front of him. I think I would actually possibly put him in that role, you know, on Sunday. I think, do you know what it is with Lacazette? Me and you have spoken about him so many times. I believe we're both fans of him, but we both feel like it's kind of fizzling towards the end for him. But while he's here, can we get something out of him? Because, sometimes a player looks like he's finished at a club.
And you finally look at Sissoko at Spurs. I'm not saying he's a world beater, but look, they found a thing for him.
There you go. They find a role for him, and all of a sudden, man's player of the season. They're giving him new contracts. He's one of their first names on the team sheet. Lacazette as a number 9, he's looking a little bit finished at Arsenal, let's be real. But maybe in that 10 role, with the link up where he can shoot, he's good hold-up play, links up well with Aubameyang, that could work. So I wouldn't mind him trying it, but will Arteta be brave enough to do that, man? That's the interesting thing about it.
Because on one hand, I feel you, man. I feel like how you feel. I feel, you know what? Let's try it. Because for me, we can speak. He ain't brought back Ozil. He ain't using Willian. Smith Rowe ain't been used. So I see Laka as a sort of, that's the first sort of step I've seen towards trying to install some creativity or fix it in-house. So I don't mind him. It means Aubameyang through the middle. There's going to be a lot of space. I go Saka on the left. I would go Nelson on the right, but I think he's going to go with Willian. My only problem with Lacazette is, and it's not a criticism, is clearly he's going to have less time on the ball than yesterday, which he doesn't mind. But I just, not that Lacazette's a super sub, but it's like, we ain't really got much off the bench. You're looking at Balogun, you're looking at Eddie. Again, I back Balogun, but I'm not too sure in that regards. What are you saying for Maitland? In midfield after that performance. Again, can't read too much into Europa League, but we always big up Maitland and his midfield and all of that, and he's finally got a chance, or did yesterday.
You know what? We've spoke before, bruv, about Arsenal and their lack of planning with a lot of these players coming up through the ranks. And, I think back to that game when Ainsley played centre mid against United, got man of the match against Pogba. And at that point, I thought, okay, develop him now, work with something. And then all of a sudden he goes right back. There were shoots of, maybe he could be a right back. And then at certain days you thought maybe not. He's spoken about wanting to play in the middle of the park. To me, our midfield is weak right now. It's feeble, bruv. Take out Thomas Partey. It's a bottom half of the table centre midfield, in my opinion. Why not? Why not give him a chance? This is what I always look at. When your back's against the wall and Willian keeps letting you down, Xhaka's letting you down, why not give this guy a chance? Why not play Ainsley centre midfield against Tottenham? Why not? Why not? Why not put him in there? Tottenham have got a lot of energy. I would have no confidence.
Going to work hard. Celso as well.
Bruv, I don't want to see Granit Xhaka with his lack of mobility against Ndombele, Sissoko, them man who can run.
Bro, don't make me imagine a mad thing right now. I can see it, fam. I don't want to scapegoat the man, but he's not the man for that. Like I'm a bit. My midfield is either I'm of two ways, because personally I actually want to go 5 at the back just because I don't think he's going to loosen up the strings. I think we're too naive, and I feel not that I don't want them to change a 4, but the last 3 games we've played, and considering the the international break, has it been the best? I'm scared for Bellerin in particular. That's why I'm trying to go with a back 3 of sorts. I'm of two thinking. We ain't got the creativity, so do we go Partey half fit or whatever if he passes that test? Partey, El Nene, Maitland-Niles, match their energy, just lock it down, whatever happens, or we do the Lacazette through the middle. What I don't want to see is Xhaka. I'd rather use Ceballos because he's a bit different. I'm not going to get at Xhaka because there has been games he's turned up, but like you said on another stream, there's no coincidence we won away from home, and I personally feel that's where Arteta's going to buckle. He's going to pick sort of players that he feels comfortable picking, the ones that aren't showing him anything. Like many man will sit here probably in the comments and say, oh, there's no, they're young, they're youth and that. But okay, I hear that and it's true. But these men that are 30 plus, and if they're not 30, late 20s, played bare times for their countries, they're doing the same thing. So what's the difference? At least Maitland, Nelson, them man there, they've got a point. Even Lacazette to a degree, them man they are not in the starting lineup, so they have something to prove and do something with. So we'll have to see, man. Where do you think the game's won and lost?
I think it's basically down to the attacks, because their attack is lethal. We know that. Can we subdue that attack? And then what can we do going forward? Because I think Tottenham's weakness this season has still been that defense. I think you can get a goal against them.
You can, fam.
Alderweireld's out apparently as well. That young lad's playing who played the other day. You saw them. No, the other guy's it.
Sanchez.
No, Roden or something. The young lad,
the Welsh lad, Roden.
Yeah.
He played against Chelsea, innit?
He played, but you see the mistake he made at the end. If Giroud lobs Lloris, they've lost the game. So we need to put pressure on him. They got a young lad. He's never played in a North London derby. he's playing against Aubameyang. You know, if you're a young teenager, Aubameyang is a daunting striker to play against. Go and press and put him under pressure. You know, we need to. The reason I think someone like Willian will play is because Arteta will look at it and he'll go, Reguilon and Son on the left for them. Bellerin's going to have a long day at the office. Willian probably going to help more than Nelson. So I would expect Willian to play. Having said that, Willian has got a great record against Tottenham. I know it is for Chelsea, but he scored a lot of goals against Tottenham.
He better score on Sunday, become a hero. I look at them stats, bro, and it gets a bit like when Partey's never been injured and he comes to Arsenal and he gets injured, them things there don't last for us.
They don't. It's bad, bro, I'm telling you.
Oh my God. For me as well, I'd say watching Spurs, I think I agree with what you're saying. I think they can be got at defensively. I think they've showed an improvement in recent weeks. I think, Jose's got his little fight with them. But when I look at them, I don't think they're perfect. You know, they're top of the league. I can't take anything away from them. But when I look at their games, their problems are defensively and they make games harder than it needs to be. You know, they score a lot of late goals, but when you look at the draws against West Ham, when you look at the late win against West Brom, when you look at, the late win against Brighton, there's a couple of occasions this season where they've drawn games they're not supposed to, or they've won, but they've made it tougher than it needs to be. And that tells me they're not perfect. And what I want us to do is kind of feed into this underdog status. Like, let's not get it twisted. Spurs are probably the favourites. They're playing better. But if we lose, we all know who's plastered over the paper more. So let's utilize that. All they need to do. Do you really think these players are going to look back at last season's fixture and try and learn lessons? Because I remember that game vividly. We threw it away in the last 25 minutes.
Do you know what? That game, I actually thought we should have got something out of that. If you look, the goal, the first goal was Kolasinac, silly back. That's the second one. You got Kieran Tierney marking Alderweireld from the corner. It makes no sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're asking for trouble, bro.
We're ramping. Like, we're ramping.
And that Tottenham team was not even playing that well. So that was a very painful defeat. This is going to be a different game, but I'm just hoping that they're kind of overconfident, that there's a slight arrogance about them. Do you know what I mean? A little bit of complacency. As we said before, we've been the best team in the country before, played Tottenham and struggled to get a result. So form does kind of go out of the window for this game, but we've got to be up for it. We've got to really understand what this game is, because sometimes I look at these players and I think they don't understand what it means to even play for this club. It's too
energy levels.
Yeah, the energy, man. This is where Aubameyang's got to step up. If you're wearing that armband, I want to see a leader. Do you know what I mean? You can't
it from the start.
Yeah, he keeps
that man.
Exactly. He always talks about this armband, how proud he is of the armband. But over the last few weeks, I've looked at him, I thought, I'm not seeing a leader there. And that's not just because he's not playing well. Where's the talking? Where's the organisation? Where's the encouragement?
We're just demanding more of man. And if he is doing that, fair play. But to us honest fans, it ain't looking like that.
Do you know what I mean? Even after the Wolves game, I was disappointed that Joe Willock was sent out for the interview. I don't agree with that. I think that's terrible.
You know how jarring that is. If we won, you would have seen them man come out and talk, and then you're throwing the young, inexperienced Joe Willock because he's a bit more naive and might not answer it right. That's hiding. It's the same way we hide behind Saka on the field. You mentioned a great point about energy. That's what it means for me. Before we talk about tactics, before we talk about formation, energy. And I want our players to learn, because we didn't match the energy of Leeds. We didn't match it of Villa. We failed against Wolves. If you don't show it, if you cannot be up for the Spurs game, it's a problem. Don't let down your manager. Don't let down the fans. But most importantly, don't let down yourself. Don't let down your teammates, because you lot are the same ones being bashed week in, week out. You lot should be riding together. Too often than not, when we're losing or times are hard, and I expect Spurs fans, the little ones that are in there, to make a lot of noise, man don't want to stand up to be counted. It's fun playing where they've got no opposition fans yesterday, when we've got 2,000 Arsenal fans who have been getting battered, but we're just so happy to be back in. They're going to allow them. It's too comfortable. It's far too comfortable at this club, man. And they need to stand up to be counted on Sunday.
They do, brother. And do you know what? What I thought was interesting, and I only looked back at this the other day, Freddie Ljungberg, when he was on Sky and he was talking about Arsenal. And one of the things he was kind of hinting at was about whether some of these players care enough. And if you look back at Ljungberg when we played Everton over the new year, and he was in charge, and he put in Smith Rowe and all them boys, and he put a lot of the youngsters in.
The young G's in there.
And what I think he felt like was, you know what? A lot of these guys, they don't really understand. They don't care. They're letting me down anyway. let me put these HLM boys in. They love this football club. They know what it means to be at Arsenal. I think that Arteta's got to throw something to Mourinho that he's not expected. Maybe a Ainsley in midfield, maybe Lacquer in the 10, maybe you chuck a Smith Rowe in. This is where you find heroes sometimes. Like, you remember
when man stand up to be counted. This is where man make careers. This is how careers get going. You know, you play well today, you could be in the lineup.
Yeah, like, to be honest, I was disappointed that Balogun only got 10 minutes yesterday.
Bro, you know? This is why I bring you on my show, because you understand ball. Vexed that Balogun never got more minutes.
Bruv, why did he not start yesterday? Like, we're through already.
We had enough to get through.
Another 10 minutes, like, and he missed a great chance. But I was thinking, as soon as he missed that chance, the first thought in my head was, if only he had another 20 minutes, he would have got another one. He'd have probably scored the next one. Do you know what I mean? So that you don't find your Rashfords, your Rooney's, your Michael Owens, your Jack Wilshere's, your Fabregas, unless you unleash them when you think they're ready. It doesn't matter. We've seen Fabregas in Arsenal's team at 16.
18, carrying the team.
Ripping up Vieira in Champions League.
Embarrassing. Oh, legend, you know. Fair enough, he was on the end out, but embarrassing, man. Assisting Henry at the Bernabeu. Let man stand up to be counted. And for me, listen, you understand it as well. We understand, you know, you can't always just throw young players in and all of these sort of things, but I don't think Arteta helps himself. He bigs them up. Like, even with Maitland yesterday, again, speaking about he can play attacking mid, he can do this and that. But you don't play him in midfield, you know. Joe Willock's got his way into the team, and I'm not exactly Joe Willock's biggest fan as much as I like him, but he's not getting opportunities. These men are not really getting roles. I've left this guy super chat up there for a minute. Sorry for violating you, Randy. I don't know what he's on about, but I assume he's talking about the thing I watched with you and Kevin Campbell. Can you set Campbell straight? What did he do? Was he capping?
Bro, he was. I think Arteta must have dropped a check in his bank, bro, because he weren't having none of it. It was all the players' fault as far as he was concerned. You know what I mean? But yeah, big up Kev though. But you know, so people see it different, innit? It's all about opinions at the end of the day, man. It's all about opinions. But back to the Balogun thing. Just sorry, I feel like
go on, man.
I think Arsenal are in danger with him because I just feel like if you're his agent, you're sitting there going, do you know what? I'd like you to stay here, but maybe it's not the best option for you because the manager's not showing nothing to show that your future's here. Do you know what I mean?
Numbers don't lie, fam. Like you said, like, again, I know it's hard and he might be saying something different, but if I'm Balogun, and I would say to Balogun, honestly, and if I was him or his family, I want him to stay. But from a non-fan point of view, look at the situation. Yeah, you've scored for Arsenal. The manager's bigging you up and that, but it's only occasional Europa League games. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but we've seen, man, you know, clubs kill for a man to stay at a club. He'll sign a new 4 or 5 year deal. That's it. You know, is this occasional Europa League involvement enough for you to develop? Because I think Balogun's got to either go out on loan or go permanently, where he's either starting week in, week out, or he's closer to the first team. He needs to be in an environment where he's out of his comfort zone, where it's sink or swim, where he immediately sees his level. And I think that's what we don't do with our young players. They're not enough sink or swim. You know, set up the environment perfectly, but put them in situations they're going to struggle. Because I see it with Joe Willock in the first team now, but there wasn't much he couldn't do at academy. You know, you've seen Eddie Nketiah's goal scoring. He can do it. I want Balogun to play against a striker that he tries to a centre half he tries to get past, absolutely shoves him, absolutely dominates him in the air, because he's got to think. And with our young players, I think it gets to a point where you need to start seeing intelligence with the brain. It seems like they're too caught up on, you know, just physical attributes, being able to beat a man, silky passing. We need to use our brain. Like, for me, Balogun, do you think Balogun stays though? Because Arteta keeps saying, he wants to stay here. I want him to stay here. Do you think he goes just by looking at the numbers, the sheer amount of strikers and the minutes to games he's played? Do you think he stays?
I think he wants to stay. My worry now for Balogun would be we've got one Europa League game left in the group next week. After that, it's the knockout stage. I can't see him playing much in the knockouts because that's too important. Like, I don't think he's going to take chances like that. Carabao Cup, you know, we're down the road. We're playing against Man City. I can't see him playing in that. FA Cup, we got Newcastle, tough game. To me, if you've got a young player who you think is, you know, got a lot of potential, you've got two options. You either loan him out somewhere to go and get first team football at men's level to learn that side of the game, or you give him constant involvement with your first team, even if that's
little dribs and drabs here and there.
Dribs and drabs, regular involvement. Before you know it, he's made 15 appearances at the end of the season. He's learning. But what we do, we get caught in the middle. You're playing under 23s, But I think they hit a bit of a brick wall with the under-23s. Like, I know I can rip this level up, but how much is this actually improving me as a player now? For me, I've said it before to you, I think under-23 football should be scrapped. I think it's
just a waste of time, fam. If
It's
you're
a
not
waste
16,
of time.
17, you shouldn't be playing there. Like, once you hit
No.
18 to 20, it's a myth. You don't want to be there. You okay, cool. You might play against, you might play against your Chambers and Maries and various first team players that are not getting look-ins, but you're not learning, really.
No.
Balogun's badding man up. And I've seen, for me, what's really said, I think Balogun needs first team football, because in the last year or so, he's always been a good goal scorer. His general play's been all right. It's really gone up a level now. Like, he's really showing a lot of intelligence. It's like what you say, it's an experience thing now. It's a little 10 here, a little 5 here, when you can, a little start here and there. And I get it, he's young, he'll show games where he's not levels, but you don't truly know how good a man is until he's not. Like, even Eddie, I'm not gonna lie, Eddie is, I don't think much of Eddie, but I think he's a better player than what I thought. Based on what I've saw, I thought he was way behind what I'm seeing now. Again, he's nothing to write home about, but it is what it is. Before we get on back to these strikers, bro, I've had to look at this message. Everyone's allowed their opinions. You would rather play Louise. You'd rather Louise play than Holding. That's stupid. Why is that stupid? I don't think that's stupid, but fair play to anyone. Like, I think Louise's characteristics are better. He actually tries to break teams down. I don't think Holding's bad. He's just a bit too hot and cold. He's a bit of a fire hazard, and he's one of them. He can stay and be part of the squad, but if you're getting 20 million or so, we spent 2 million for him. You know the vibes. Vibes.
Yeah. Man will cash that check.
Lidge, that 20 million. It could be. What do you think? The goals, more so Eddie and Ketia, but I guess you could throw Lacazette in there. What do you think the goals will do in terms of confidence? Because the last Europa League game, them two there, maybe more so Eddie, but us fans didn't have nice things to say about them.
No, it's true. Do you know the problem for me? When Arteta gets a player with a bit of confidence, sometimes he doesn't take advantage of it. Like, to me, Lacazette was captain last night. The fans were back. He scores a great goal. He was given man of the match. You've got the North London derby this week. Bear in mind, he scored a great goal against Tottenham at the Lane last season. One of the best goals he scored for Arsenal.
Facts.
I think Lacazette's got to start on Sunday.
He does. He's on this team. He's literally on this. He's one of them that has to play. He has to start. Like, he has to play some mark. Like, for me, it's I look at the mentality, and whatever we say about Lacazette, there's been games he's hiding. He's on the big games. For me, I'm looking at Lacazette is what problems can he cause for 60 minutes? Can he cause problems? Can he be a physical outlet? Because I look at Aubameyang through the middle against Spurs. Unless they're playing a high line and you're hitting it in behind, he's going to struggle. Like, he will hold it up and try his best, but whoever the two centre halves are going to have a field day of sorts. So you're going to need other man around him. Lacazette's hold up playing, dropping deep. Can that draw other man into areas that Aubameyang potentially can exploit? You're going to see this sort of thing this game. I almost forgot to ask you as well. Randy's mentioned Paulo Marie. What do you think of Marie's appearance? Because we don't know too much of his level, really and truly.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, it's good to see him back. It was a great header that he scored as well. So big up Pablo Marie. Is a great goal. In terms of his level, I can't say, to be honest. In my head, mentally, and I shouldn't make this kind of judgment without seeing much of him. I see him as a squad player. Maybe he can change that. Maybe he can change that. I remember we played West Ham last year at home, and he started, and the way Antonio was dealing with him. Don't get me wrong, Antonio roughs up a lot of centre backs, but I was worried about his lack of pace a little bit, Pablo Mari, but. Look, time will tell. And maybe he'll turn out to be a really good defender. At the moment, I don't really see him much more than a squad player. But he's got a 4-year contract, so he's got a lot of time to prove himself. And he's a big guy, isn't he? 6'3", 6'4", left-footed. Highly rated in Brazil. So time will tell with him, I suppose.
Like you said, I don't know Donny's level, but a couple of games I've played, I think you've mentioned that. I'd mentioned the City game. He came off injured, where you can see balls knocked in behind. He's got a problem, and I think he did all right yesterday. He scored. He come back from his injury, but there was a couple of nervy things. There was one pass that he lost, and they countered. And there was one time, like you said, he's a big guy. He mistimed his header, and it could have been worse. So I stand by it. I think it's a squad player settings. I think he's been fit for a while now. The fact that he hasn't played kind of shows he's a squad Donny. You're just hoping he can be half decent, but it is concerning. Not to get at him because he looks all right, but what's he really been given a 4-year deal off the back of? It's a bit like Cedric Suarez. Like, 29, 3-4 year deal. What have you really got? Cedric's cool to be about in the occasional Europa League games and the rest of it. Like, what do you think of Cedric Suarez yesterday?
Again, he done all right, but, you know, he ain't playing against no one, is he? You know, and like you said, 4-year deal. It's a Raul Sanelli business again, isn't it? You know, so
I never looked.
You know what? I'd be saying though with Cedric Suarez, like, why, like, if you've got him, you've given him a 4-year deal. If Arteta was actually involved in giving him that 4-year deal, why are you showing such a lack of belief in him as a player? You know, why is it? It seems like Bellerin can't be dropped out of the Premier League. He's undroppable, and I don't understand why. And this is my problem. This was part of the problem why I wasn't sure about Arteta coming to the club, because he's got emotional involvement with some of these players. As I said, Hector Bellerin lived with Mikel Arteta when he moved to Arsenal. He stayed with him and his wife like that. He probably looks at him as a stepson almost.
Yeah, like, that's his family and that.
His family. He don't want to drop him. You know, he ain't gonna drop him. You know, Willian, he's played against these man. El Neni was his teammate. So he needs to show that ruthlessness all around the squad. That energy's got to remain the same with everyone for me.
Facts, and more facts. That energy's got to stay the same, because like you said, a lot of what Arteta says in isolation, I agree with. It's a bit like using Pepe as an example. When he says certain things about Pepe, I'm like, all right, you know what? I believe that too. But then I see Willian start, I'm like, it don't really, it's not correlating now. You've just really just mashed up what you said now. Now we're looking at it a bit weird. What do you think of Pepe yesterday? Because I think he was quality. That second half, though, it showed his little minor frustrations. And I was as pissed off as Arteta was. There was one chance. He's danced past a man.
Yeah.
Your left foot. My man's got a goal. You've got an assist. Instead, you're doing all this flicker, tricker business. And it ain't doing much. It's not doing much. It's all flash in the pan. So a bit Adama Traore-ish.
Yeah. He's a full-time FIFA street baller, bro. You remember FIFA Street?
Like in his hand and he's in a cage and he's just doing skills. Playing like boot cuts on, man.
Yeah, he's playing cage football, man. Like, just, you know what I mean? Finish. Like, we didn't. This has always been the problem with Pepe, is the end product. I think we can all see he's talented. He's got good footwork, but he lacks that killer instinct for me.
Decision making.
Yeah, like, you know, when Salah's playing against you, you know he is desperate to score a goal. Mane wants to rip you apart if you're the fullback. With Pepe, it's like, I'm dropping a shoulder, I'm all silky football, but bro, the Premier League is about end product. We've seen a lot of players like that before who are skillful, and, you know, the Robinhos when he came to the Prem, you know, charisma, great talent. If the end product's not there, you ain't going to get nowhere. So, you know, it was interesting to see him on the left as well, because a lot of people have been saying before, you know, maybe try him on the left. I don't know whether that's better for him. But yeah, the end product. I didn't blame Arteta for being that frustrated, because we were kind of dropping to their level. We could have scored 7 goals.
Habits, innit?
Do you know what I mean? Look at the chances we was missing yesterday. And
complacency.
You go against Tottenham and some of these guys are playing. You got to score them chances. So I can understand why Arteta was frustrated. But the only thing I will say with Pepe, hopefully when his suspension finishes in the Premier League, he's used these Europa League games to kind of lift himself a little bit. It was good to see him smiling at least. You know what I mean?
That's what I took away from it. He's actually,
you know what I mean? Yeah, he's enjoying himself. So, you know, we're going to need him throughout this season anyway.
Exactly. We can't write him off and things. What do you think needs to click with Pepe? Because I ask you this every week, and you ask me on your show every week, and we try and find reasons. What specifically? Because I'm more asking you as someone that's exhausted all my brain cells, and maybe you can answer it. Like, what needs to click? Like, we know it's the frustrations, but what needs to click? Because you mentioned playing on the left, and for me, I would think being a right foot or playing on the left hand side, it kind of takes you back to basics. You can obviously cut in and go outside, but you've got less options being a left footer on the left hand side. And I thought that would provoke him to just simply make more simple decisions. And he done it in the first half, but I don't know. Is it a mentality thing? Because like you said, we're creeping into old habits, and I think Pepe was at the forefront of that. Like, it just silly skills sometimes. We're moving like this is Emirates Cup or this is soccer. Like, we need to be ruthless. Let's try and hit them for a cricket score. Let's try and achieve some sort of history of sorts.
Yeah. I think what Pepe's got to do for me, because let's face it, Arteta favours Willian over Pepe.
Facts, 100%.
That is a fact. What Pepe has to do, he has to give Arteta no choice. He has to back him into a corner where, listen, I know Willian's your guy, you know, but Willian ain't performing. And every time I'm on the pitch, I'm making a difference. I'm doing something. I'm scoring. I'm getting an assist. I'm ripping the left back to bits. If he doesn't do that, then his long-term future may not be at the club. I think it's down to him. I also think that Arteta's got to coach him. You know, we heard that Sterling and Leroy Sané talking about he improved my game and he showed me things that I needed to simplify and do certain things. And this is where my questions have come of Mikel Arteta. We heard he was a great coach. The man management,
good 1v1 coach, to be specific, good with specifically coaching individual players, and he's got an individual coach now at our team that's specific for that. So why are they not working? Go on, bro.
Yeah. And my question would be to Mikel Arteta: how many players at this football club have you improved since you've been in? There aren't many. There are not many. I tell you that.
It's a form and that, but
maybe a little bit.
Who's actually improved?
I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know if I really think about it.
I'll give it to Eddie by a slight bit, just because. No. Not because he's improved, just because you left as being a little squad player. Now you're somewhat a rotation option. It's not glaringly obvious. I'm not praising it. You know, you could say Saka goes from strength to strength, but other than little bouts of form between players, I wouldn't go as far as to say anyone's specifically improved. Like, you could probably throw El Nene, but is El Nene doing anything differently, or is he just shining amongst a bad batch or just doing his thing? I don't know. Like,
there you go. So he hasn't really. And, you know, even Emery, and I hate to go on about Emery, but, you know, Martinelli did well under him. Saka burst onto the scene under him. Guendouzi did well under him. And, you know, and Arteta was a manager that they were saying he is going to, you know, give young players a chance. And
next level business. And,
you know, he's coaching. He's going to improve people. And realistically, we haven't really seen it. So, you know, I think with Pepe, though, just to go back to him, I think he's got to, for me, he needs that killer instinct. If he doesn't get that, then he's just another flash in the pan. You look at, you know, other left footers who play on the right, like Mahrez, Salah, them guys, they get end product. They score goals. They rip fullbacks apart. Yeah, they're not just doing skills for the sake of it. They're ripping you to shreds. Like, they're a constant danger. So I think Pepe, you know, it's whether, has he got that hunger to be the best player? If I'm Pepe,
doing the maximum, yeah,
if I'm Pepe now, I'm looking at it going, right, realistically, the best player at Arsenal is probably Aubameyang. Aubameyang's 31. He's having a poor season. Pepe has actually got an opportunity to become Arsenal's best player.
Talisman.
If he steps up, you know, you can be the main man at this football club. Have you got that mentality? Have you got that hunger? Or are you just too comfortable? You're on big money. You're in London. You got all the swag, all the cars now. Maybe the hunger's not the same, you know?
Do you know what? I think he genuinely underestimated just how hard it is, in a sense of, I didn't think he'd think it'd be easy, but I think you know, we talk a lot about energy and desire and passion, you know, that's almost more important than tactics in this league. You know, the league isn't logical. You don't get time, you don't get space. I think that shocked him. I think he underestimated that. And together, like you said, with the whole London business, it didn't make for good reading, and he just hasn't kicked on. It's like, I do think you're doing the minimum, but are you doing the maximum? Are you, you know, are you working on your set pieces? Because that's what I want to see, especially now that you've been sent off. I won't say it's a blessing in disguise that he's been given that, but now you can really work, really go back to basics. You know, Arteta, like you said, Sane, the man there, he's good at that. Get some notes in relation to what Arteta wants you to improve. And you're a professional athlete. You should be self-reflecting. You know what you want. Yeah. And I keep going back to this. There's a 24-year-old member of our coaching staff called Carlos something. He's got, his role is something along the lines of individual coach or something. Long story short, his job is to help see where individual development paths can happen and where they can play. So I don't understand why, if Arteta is saying cool, because of the demands right now, because we all know a manager can't do everything. You lot go off and do it. You go off with Saliba. You go off with Nelson. You go off with Joe. I'm not asking. It's difficult to make everyone to become elite, but I haven't seen enough. And what was I going to say to you? Do you believe in this? Emre didn't get a fair chance, because I think people look at Emre with rose tints. It's easy, you know. People even crying for Wenger to come back now. I love Wenger. It's a man.
It is a man. You know what it is? Like we were saying the other day about players, sometimes you become better once you're not there. You know, when a player's injured, we're all waiting for him to come back. No one really was happy with Emery at the end when he left and Arteta struggled. People have sort of said, Emery didn't get a fair chance. Where I would say he didn't get a fair chance is we should have got top 4, and I blame him for that. He changed the team in the wrong moments. You know, the Palace game, for example, Brighton. Europa League final, I've never blamed him because I think he picked a good team and the players bottled the final. What I would say then, he went to the board with certain targets and he wasn't given them. And when you look at the targets he wanted Zaha, he wanted the dribble.
Guy, I waited for you to say his name so that comment could get flown up.
The comment was it, bruv. We done a whole supporters club on it. Remember me? You
was talking at length about that.
We spoke at length, and I was like, "Yo, we should have got Zaha. He knew the league. He's an Arsenal fan. He would have adjusted quicker. Pepe, we don't know what's going to happen. You know. Also, the French league, you know, it's very unpredictable. Are they that good just because they've had a good year in France? We don't know." You know, he wanted Fabinho apparently and Nzonzi, so he wanted the powerful centre midfielder. Even
Thomas Partey initially.
He wanted Partey. They gave him Lucas Torreira. Man's half the size of them man there. You know what I mean? I even wanted Harry Maguire apparently. Not that Maguire was necessarily the answer, but he wanted a commanding centre half. So I don't think he was back sufficiently. But ultimately, he lost the dressing room. You know, I think the communication was a big factor in it. If he'd have learnt the language quicker, which I realise is difficult, he might have had a chance. But the players weren't interested in him, unfortunately. So I think he did have to go. So yeah, it was just one of them. But he's clearly a good coach. He's doing well in Spain.
At Villarreal. Man. You can't take anything away from Emery. He's still a good coach. I hope the best for him. It just didn't work out. I agree with everything Curtis said. And on my point in relation to the Zaha and the Torreiras, and this is one reason I'm on to Arteta, because you need better players. But coaching, you know, you spoke earlier about finding roles for a couple players. You know, we've spoken about young players. Coaching was a big part. Now, for me, clearly Pepe struggled and stuff, but what is to say? I think Zaha would have banged it. I wanted Zaha, but what's to say it would have worked for him? It's like Arteta, Emery, you know, we knew you weren't going to get your first or second choice target, so can you get a bit more? Like Torreira's not a bad player. Where I think in hindsight maybe he was let down is Torreira psychologically off the field. It probably didn't help into his team really and truly. You know, Karan's got something that's counteracting what we're saying in relation to Arteta, and I think he's looking at it with rose tints. I agree with Eddie. I wouldn't say he's improved Aubameyang. El Nene's been given some confidence he didn't have. Xhaka the same. You know, Mustafi, you know, he had a little run of form, fair play, but I wouldn't say improved. Like, it's not evident. Like if me and you weren't Arsenal fans and we were shown a game or a selection of games 12 months before and 12 months prior, 12 months prior and now, did they look significantly better?
No. No chance. To me, Mustafi's best time at Arsenal was when Wenger signed him.
When he just come in it.
With Koscielny. That was his best time. Because we were clutching at straws them times. You know?
Remember we had unbeaten with Mustafi. Unbeaten with Tony, like.
Bro, I remember having arguments with man like, yo, man, I've got Mustafi World Cup winner Valencia. Next minute, I was like, yo, bro, this guy's
L, innit?
Bro. Big L, bro. No, that was a bad one, you know. But apparently, Wenger, I read something. He wanted Kostas Manolas apparently, and
Evans over Mustafi. And at the time, I was like, nah, man, that's a dead thing. Then I was like, Wenger, you know what? You got a lot wrong, but forgive me because I didn't know what I was talking about. Because now see what Evans was on at West Brom and now Leicester. You know, he might have still look Kalamas in an Arsenal shirt, but it's a bit better than Mustafi. Like Mustafi, I was one of Mustafi's biggest fans. You know, I was like, I would have liked someone different to Koscielny, but we've got two brothers now. They're both aggressive. We've got World Cup winner. You know, we was unbeaten. I remember PSG. I was seeing him vocal, shouting at man. He was a breath of fresh air, and then he bucked Eden Hazard, and it weren't the same.
Yeah.
No, what are you saying for this? You saying for this, like Adama or Pepe, who would you buy? I'd still go with Pepe. I think they're all in the same boat, man. Delafeo, Pepe, Adama. Not that anyone's better or worse in the sense of they're having these struggles or at these clubs because the end product hasn't patterned. Saint Maximin, good player, but end product is what pays the bills. What are you saying for that?
Do you know what I think Pepe's got more talent than Traore. I think Traore is very limited. What I would say about Traore, he kind of uses what he's got quite well. Do you know, when he gets the ball, he can just run past 3 players like they're not even there. But his end product is not great. And you know what? I think Traore kind of hurts the way you play as well. So I would stick with Pepe. I would stick with Pepe for now.
I agree. We've got more people contesting us. You know, Saka's going from strength to strength. You know, Saka's a good player. I wouldn't say Leno's better. We're seeing the same old Leno. He's a good shot stopper. We knew Tierney was a good player. Maitland-Niles, I'll give you that. But again, does he look evidently better? Not necessarily. He's still playing well, but not evident. Like, I guess what me and Curtis are alluding to is evidently, significantly. Not no cherry picking in. It's crazy. Like it's a bit of a joke in relation to that one.
And Ainsley's not even playing really either, is he? To say.
To really be saying that as well. What do you make? Have you seen any comment? I mean, I'm typing it on Google. Has there been any comments in relation to Hector Bellerin and Arteta? And this is the stuff where, you know, we're talking about this. If you're always backing the manager off the field, bloody play like it, because it's him that firework. Like, I've gone on Google just now, people, and for Curtis, apparently, let me read it to you. Hector Bellerin believes speculation over the future of Mikel Arteta's future is unjust, as he insists the boss cannot change the fortunes overnight. Moving on and trying to find his direct quotes in this article, he said, so unjust. We have to, as players, take responsibility for this, because I think we all know that Mikel and his coaching team give us all the tools that we need to win all games. He's not trying to make changes just on the field, but outside of it. This isn't something you can do overnight. When you lose a game, it's always very easy to blame the coach. But also when the coach gives us the tools, we have to be the ones to step up. The way that Mikel plans these games, all the knowledge that they give us before we step onto the pitch is second to none. Sometimes it's not that easy, depending on the opponent, but that is why football is beautiful. If you play the games on a tactic board, it will be a completely different game. He also said as well, finally, I have to say that when you are planning on doing something big, and that's what he's doing, changing the identity of the team, of the club, change the behaviors. He's not trying to make changes just on the field, but outside of it. You know, I feel the team has improved massively in so many areas of the game that needed improvement. Even though we're not doing as great in the others, it's all part of the process. What do you make of that, Curtis?
I would say this, bruv.
Chatting.
Too much waffle, bro. I don't want to hear that from Bellerin, because Bellerin needs to learn how to throw a ball first, bro. This man's doing foul throws in the Premier League, bro. I don't want to hear
opened himself up for that one still.
You know
he opened himself up for that one for me.
Of course, Hector Bellerin wants Arteta in the job because he's picking him every week. He knows if they get another manager, next manager's going to come in and go, yo, what kind of defending is this? Bellerin needs to worry about dealing with Son on Sunday, bro, instead of giving interviews. He needs to step up himself.
And that's facts. Like, with what Bellerin has said, I don't necessarily disagree. I'm onto the players. You know me. I don't like just getting onto players or getting onto the manager. It's everyone. I agree with what a lot of you said, but I'm seeing you, Williams, consistently coming out and putting language like that. And when we're losing, you are the first ones I'm looking at as to why you're not playing well. You know, if you was playing poor, but I could see, you're going down fighting, because that's happened to Tierney. You know, Tierney's had poor games, but he's gone down fighting. I say, all right, cool. You lot are accepting defeat. It's not making any sense. Like, it's in isolation, it sounds great, but you're making, this is what I mean, people, when I say you're making your manager look stupid because he's backing you. You're coming and saying this, but are you going to play like that on Sunday? Are you going to play like you're doing this thing? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's true. And we said it before, bruv. The problem is when you look at top teams, I feel like even when players have a bad game, they don't fall below like a 5 or a 6. What you would probably say is, you know, he didn't have a great game, but, you know, he gave everything. We've got too many players in our team where when they have a bad game, we're giving them 2s and 3s. They're having shockers, you know what I mean? Right. And Bellerin falls into that category of, like, you know, you have a couple good games, Bellerin's back, and then he gets ripped to shreds. And then he's always the one talking in the media all the time.
Loves it,
on your game, bruv. Yeah, like, talk when you're in a position of strength, man, when you've had 5 good games and we're winning games.
That's how I feel, but just
You
chat
know?
is too much chatting. And I feel Bellerin at times is a target, but at the same time, it's too easy. A lot of them are getting onto us. And somebody said that you don't think Maitland-Niles has improved. Okay, cool. We'll give you Maitland-Niles. He got called up for England. Cool, but it's not significant. Like I, as an Arsenal fan, can look at it. My point is significant. If Curtis is a United fan and I'm a City fan, and you show me a couple games now, is it significant? It's not. And that's where I say it's down to the players as well, because Arteta can only meet you halfway. There has been games where it's looked like pre-game, during the game, that Arteta's given them everything and they've effed it up. Like for me, one that will always stay in my head, actually one of his first jobs here, when he when we played Chelsea, and you could tell worked on something. The players threw it away in the last 15 minutes or so. In the same way, ironically, we've got Spurs. They threw it away in the last 25 against Spurs. But sometimes I haven't seen enough from Arteta. The players have got to want to improve, but I ain't seen enough. You know, Bellerin needs to work on his own performance, as a lot of you lot are saying. I'm not seeing Aubameyang come out and doing this chatting. I don't see Saka do this chatting. I don't see a lot, man.
Yeah, way too much talking, man. But this is the mentality at Arsenal, and it's been like this for a long time. You know, we lose games. Same thing happened under Wenger. Oh, don't blame the boss. Players have to look at themselves. 2 weeks later, they'll go and throw another game away, and it's just a circle. You know, like Turkish always talks about that roundabout. This is what it is at Arsenal. And to be fair, you know, this is one thing I will give Mikel Arteta, that he does have to break up a cycle at this football.
Bad habits.
You know, the mentality, the weakness, the acceptance, you know. I remember a quote from Robin van Persie, and it always sticks in my mind. He said, what was the difference between playing for Arsenal and playing for Man United? And he said, at Man United, you had to win. You had to. He said, at Arsenal, they wanted to win. You know, but if you lost, it was like, you know, pat on the back, come on, lads, we'll win next week. But he said at United, if you lost, there was an inquest, like, listen, no, why has that happened? You know, we got to figure it out straight away. And that is still the problem to me at Arsenal. When we lose, you know, pats on the back, unlucky, you know, let's look at the positives, we go next week. You don't win anything if you act like that. So that's what he needs to change.
For me, it's the spirit, man. I can't talk for anyone. I don't think Arsenal have any divine right to win anything. I just want spirit. I know we got a long way to go before we're the Arsenal that we all know, but too many times, home and away, I've seen man play Arsenal, and it's not a thing where that, you know, they've said, bloody hell, that team made us work for those 3 points. It's been, you know, our cheap mistakes. Like, big up to Wolves, you know, their game plan, everything was amazing. The same for Leicester and Villa. And I'm not taking anything away from them. When we now look beyond that and we look at our performance, we're directly contributing to a negative result. It's not just, and again, I'm not trying to take anything away from them. It's not that they played amazing. Well, it's not that they didn't just play amazing. We've set ourselves up to fail. And Trill has said a good comment. I don't expect 1,000 players to improve overnight. I don't expect the process to change overnight. Neither does Curtis. It's about building blocks. And then we can only call it as we see it. I actually said Eddie has improved slightly, but, you know, it's not significant. It's not, Rome wasn't built in a night, but every day, overnight. But, you know, every day some cement was played, some bricks were there. And that's all we want to see. You know, I'm actually onto the players. They have to want to improve. You know, some of these players have been here under several man. For all the criticisms I give Arteta, some of these players just have bad habits, just don't want to improve. And like Curtis always makes a point, just on this comfortability thing. And it ties into this, you know, what is the process? In relation to Arteta, I think he wants to make us difficult to break down. He wants to make us a good side, but he can't do it alone. As Curtis knows, you know, he needs players to be brought in. You can have all the ideas you want. When your team's struggling to get Partey, when you're not being brought this Szoboszlai or Arawa, you can't do much. You can't do much. But I do want to see building blocks for Arteta. That's something I'm not seeing. And I do think, as many as excuses I give him, I don't want to sound like a Wenger Arteta apologist, but, you know, he has made certain things hard for himself, you know. Football is harsh, Karim. Football is harsh. I'm not being harsh on Arteta, you know, but you can't praise a man when he's winning FA Cup, and then when we're losing, say none of it is his fault. It's the same. In the same way, you can't say these players are poor today, but when we won the FA Cup, you're just praising Arteta and bigging up Arteta. It's like acceptance is the key word, you know.
Hey, big up my boy Franny Green. That's a good channel there, man. He's an ex-pro as well. He knows what he's talking about.
Him on Instagram. Big him up, man. Give him a little check out, people. I've seen his views.
Man.
He knows his stuff, so support him.
Man. No, you're spot on, bruv. Listen, if we can praise him when he does well, when we won the FA Cup, Arteta got so much praise, and he deserved it because he rescued what was a terrible season. But on the flip side, when things are going wrong, we can't turn a blind eye and go, well, actually, it's not his fault. I'm not saying it's all his fault because these players are not good enough. But what I'm saying is 14th in the league, no, that is not acceptable. You know, there are teams above us who are nowhere near as good as us. But what they are doing, they're beating us because of their system and the way they're set up. You saw it against Aston Villa. We couldn't cope with Aston Villa. You know, they literally rode all over us, bro.
You see it, and he's not reacting as quick as he was last season.
And what I'm saying is, you're staying loyal to players who will lose you your job. So yeah, he hasn't had the transfer windows to get rid of everyone. But why are you picking Willian every week? Why is Granit Xhaka playing all the time? Why is Mustafi a guy who rejected a new contract so that he can leave and walk away at the end of the season? Why are you giving him game time ahead of William Saliba, a youngster we waited a year for him to come in? You know, when Mustafi gets handed the armband in them Europa League games, I think this is disgusting that this guy is the captain, even for 20 minutes. He should not be the captain. I don't care. Give it to one of the HLM boys. Don't give it to Mustafi. You know, I don't want him anywhere near this club. So, you know, I agree with what you said earlier. I think Arteta has made this job harder for himself, you know, and that's what he needs to do. Keep things simple, you know, play players in their best positions.
Simple as that. Simple as that. Like, I believe in Arteta, but at the same time, you know, I haven't got allegiances to Arteta. If it's not Arteta will die. If he's showing me reasons to, he hasn't lost it yet. Like I've said, people, and please don't misunderstand me, I blame the players, but there are question marks in Arteta. But if he shows me anything more, we have to start looking. And like Ryan has said, it is a balance issue. You know, he would be back in our good books, but I think the tweaks are for him. He needs to find that balance. Last year, it looked like we was moving to that, and it looks like there's something that's not really tempting him to, you know, want to make us free flow. He's focusing on the defense, but I do agree, couple good wins, he's back as the Messiah and stuff. Football does change. Not too sure. Go on, Curse.
I said Jenkins.
Yeah, you're arguing with that one. That one,
that bad.
Yeah, Jenkinson's a different sort of kettle of fish, man. It's a bit crazy. Like I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Like,
oh my God! Do you know Jenkinson actually played against him years ago? He was in the conference. Yeah, he was. I think he was at Eastbourne or something like that. It was crazy, man. That he ended up at Arsenal.
And now look where he's living the dream, man. I'll never get at him, you know, but it just shows you that sometimes in life, you know, you can stumble off of things that you might not necessarily deserve. I know many people cut Jenkinson the thing of, oh, he's an Arsenal fan and all that. Yeah. Let's be honest, Jenkinson, shit, man.
He was terrible. Bro, he's at Nottingham Forest now, man, and they
want him out. You're from them side, so you probably got family can tell you what got for him. Like,
bro, they think he's rubbish, fam. They're like, nah, how was this guy at Arsenal for years? You know, it's crazy. I think he got a 5-year deal at Arsenal. It was mad.
What kind of living the movie is that? You know, what kind of he's living an absolute movie. Someone said, Curtis, why do you want our manager out? It's just not the manager's fault. And I don't think Curtis has called for Arteta out specifically yet. And Curtis has said throughout this whole thing, it's not just Arteta's fault, but at some point we need to look at what Arteta is doing or not doing.
Yeah, man. Like, bruv, like, listen, when players are struggling, what do fans say? Oh, I don't want him. People are talking about Lacazette out, Pepe out. The manager equally is the same thing. It is Arsenal Football Club. It's not Arteta Football Club. If he can turn things around, you know, every time we play a game, I support the team, I support the manager, like any fan does. But, you know, if he's not doing the best for us, then I'm not going to get behind that. And we're not actually seeing much to believe in at the moment. We're not even playing great football. So, but like you said, things can turn around quickly, man.
Things can turn around very quickly in football. Whatever you said, I'm not that opportunist, DG, but I'd like to see him do well, not hoping he fails. Not too sure who you're on about, but anyone connected with Arsenal, whether I like them or not, I don't want them to fail purely because it's in my best interest for them to play well or the manager to manage well. I want Arsenal to win stuff. I can put my opinion to the side in that, you know, I might like Bellerin, but I don't think he's good enough. Or I'm not a fan of Xhaka. I don't think he's good enough. But if they get selected, I want them to play. You know, I care about Arsenal Football Club. And that's the problem with football fans. We get too hung up on managers, too hung up on players, start fighting, you know, this player versus that player. I'm seeing fans do the Balogun versus Eddie thing. I'm not saying you can't compare them, but it's too tribal when the only tribe you should be part of is Arsenal bloody football club. I like Arteta. I want Arteta to get it right. I didn't see on the Emirates, I see a manager that I like, I can actually believe in, I can be fond of, but at the same time, I don't see enough. And he has been here 10 months. Yes, he needs time. Yes, he needs players. Yes, the players are poor enough. But I want to see some building blocks. Like I always say this week now, I've been saying, I'm not asking to go into the kitchen and see curry go and rice already made. But I want to smell seasoning. I want to see herbs there.
Yeah.
I want to see potatoes being peeled or something. Like, I want to know,
what I mean?
It's coming sort of thing.
Yeah,
like,
you want to know there's dinner at the end. All I'm seeing is boiling water, bro. I ain't seeing no meat.
Oh man, like, we shouldn't get carried away. Oh, this is an interesting question. Last question before I ask you for your predictions, because I know you're pressed for time. Do you think Giroud would have fitted in Arteta's style? Because with him on the team would have scored more goals, and the man is still banging goals. When you consider hold up play, probably. When you look at the 20 crosses we put in against Wolves, Giroud would have ate some of them up, man. He's I think I always thought Giroud was a good player. Always. I just didn't think he suited the style of football we played. We were crying out for number one track.
Yeah, like but Giroud is a top player. I think he's a very underrated striker. You've seen in the French team, in the Chelsea team, if you play his style, you're gonna have success. It's a good point. He would have probably suited Arteta's style, to be fair.
He would have. The problem with Giroud is that Arsenal bought him and we tried to make him our Aubameyang. We tried to make him something that's going to get 20 league goals. Let's be real. Giroud over 38 games, he isn't good enough. His highlights, he's going to look great, but people look at him through rose tints. That being said, I can't forgive him for Monaco away. He does miss some madness, but he's an experienced player. He's a quality player. He's people look at him and think he's a lump, and he does use that to his degree, but he's fantastic technically, especially when you got these man like Aubameyang and mainly there's more smaller technical players. You love playing with Olivier Giroud because he's not trying to turn on it. He's going to give it back to you and you can do your thing like that. Giroud must be a dream to play with. Absolute dream. And dream to be part of the squad.
Yeah, for real, bro. I saw a thing the other day, like his best 10 goals. I thought if you'd never watched this guy play and you watch that, you'd think like he was a Ballon d'Or winner because his top 10 goals were mad. Scorpion kicks, all sorts.
Bangers against City in cup finals, some headers. Giroud's been a good player still, man. He's been a good player. He's been a good player. It's just like he said, we relied on him way too much. I think I don't want to speak about Lacazette, but I mean you have to admit Giroud is a better player than Lacazette.
He is, and I would have said that when we signed Lacazette as well. But yeah, I think Giroud was better than him, man.
It's a madness. Hey, let me let you go. But before I let you go, score predictions. What are you saying for the game on Sunday?
I'm gonna stick by what I've said. I've said 1-1.
1-1.
I've said 1-1. I'd like to say we're gonna win, but I've got to be real. Unless they can pull something out of the bag, I hope they do. But 1-1, and I would take a draw as well. If we draw 1-1, I think that'd be positive for us right now.
So, like you said, I would love a point. I would love a point. I'll bite your hand off for a point. I'm gonna go 2-1 Arsenal, purely just thinking with my heart and not my brain. And just because I'm not saying we're gonna win or it's a definite, but it's like it would not surprise me that if Arsenal have been on this poor form, put in a performance against Spurs, and then do some foolishness against Burnley the next following week. I hope, but it could get crazy, people. It could get crazy. Curse, you got any other shows coming out today, or what's your plan?
Yeah, I'm live at 2:00. I got Claude on, man. So Claude's always got a lot to say. So I'll be on at 2:00, man. And then obviously the live stream on Sunday, man. The big game. So just hope we can get something, man. It could be a turning point for the whole season, because I think if we don't get a result, I think the fans will start turning on the players and the manager, so they need to get something.
There's nothing that can there's nothing I can add on to you. It's like it's like an avalanche. It just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. And for me, one thing I'm scared of, I can see Gareth Bale scoring. He's been a bit iffy since he signed for them. I could see what he's about to do. People, please
what would your team be? Just quickly give me a team.
Let's do the team quickly, team, before we bust out. Team. I'm actually going with a back five, I'm going with a back five. I want to play a four, but it's like every game I've watched of us play, it's not that I've been against the back four. It's like, have I felt confident doing it against Wolves, confident doing it against Leeds, confidence against Spurs? No, for me, I'll change the back four against Burnley or go to a back four against Burnley, but I'd go with a back three. You know yourself, Leno picks himself in goal, centre halves, David Luiz if it plays, Gabriel plays. Between Mustafi and Holding, I'd rather Holding. It's not a thing. So by default, them man are there. I want Maitland-Niles in midfield, So ideally, Maitland-Niles in fact, you know what? If Partey is fit, judging by what I'm going with, I go Partey and El Nene, Maitland-Niles right back, Tierney left back. That just leaves the front three, It's Aubameyang through the middle, Saka on the left. I'd actually go Nelson on the right, but in reality, I'm pretty sure we're going to see the likes of Williams, the likes of Bellerins, etc. If we went with a back four, then I'd entertain Lacazette through the middle, but just because of what I want to go with, as you know yourself, it can't be done. Literally, I can't do it.
No,
what you saying?
Do you know? Yeah, you'd probably have to agree with that. I think four at the back against Tottenham. I think I feel like Son would isolate Bellerin too much at times, and maybe we'd have to go with a five at the back. So yeah, I would play Ainsley at wing back, and then obviously you've got Tierney as well. And then, Saka. Yeah, I'd give Nelson a go. I think Nelson, at least he's direct. And that Reguilon, he's quick, isn't he? But he does like to get forward. So that might leave space in behind for Nelson. So, yeah, Aubameyang through the middle. And then you've probably got to go El Neni and Partey just for the energy that we're going to... Because they've got a lot of energy in it.
Just that. That's it.
It's a shame because, when I see Ceballos yesterday, he played a few passes yesterday where I'm like... There's something in there,
There's a player. I don't know what it is.
There's a player in there. I don't know what his best role is because he was playing quite high yesterday, and I thought, can he be an 8? Can he be a 10? I don't understand him as a player.
I haven't seen and that's what I'm looking at. I was looking at Ceballos, and Ceballos, not to scapegoat him, but he's the perfect example of what I mean by players have got to take responsibility. Because when Ceballos came, I was looking at it as like, with all due respect, I should be at Madrid, so I'm gonna play to the level where man are saying I'm doing Arsenal a favor being here every game.
Yep.
How is Saka, Aubameyang, and Ceballos putting up with it? I've seen no maturity in his play. I've seen elements of consistency, but not sustained to the level. And like you said, the role, like he showed me he can be a bit box to box. He likes to win the ball a bit more than I thought. He can play as a deep line playmaker. And like you said, you've seen him play further forward, but has he necessarily excelled for a prolonged period in any of these roles, bar the form last season? Probably not. This season, I don't know what it is, but he's looked a shadow of his former self.
Yeah, man. At the moment, you'd have to say he probably won't be signed on a permanent in the summer, man. I think he'll end up at Real Betis or someone like that, Valencia or someone.
And like you said, man, might as well get at these last questions, man. What are you saying? You see Lacazette bagging?
I can, I think if Lacazette starts, he can score. He's confident. Scored against them last time. I remember he scored that banger against them at the Emirates that time where he skipped man left foot near post. I think Laka is good in a lot of the big games, even against Man United earlier in the season. They were finding him very difficult to deal with when he's dropping into them pockets. So, no, I think Lacazette's got to stop.
Facts, like you said, man. Lacazette's played for me. I think Lacazette's played his way in. I think it might even be a game. I know I didn't say it, but it might be a game where Aubameyang moves to the left-hand side. A byproduct of that is you bring in Lacazette. I don't mind. Like someone in the comments said, I would like to start Nelson if use that youthful exuberance, and then if not, you can always clip him. Football's harsh. Yeah. Be subbed at half time. Do you think we can play like we did on Sunday?
I mean, this is the thing, innit? Because what I see in them Europa League games, they're playing with freedom. And when in the Premier League, they look like they're under pressure. So it's whether they can, shake off that pressure and really enjoy the game. As I said, I think we need to go 1-0 up,
Facts.
We go 1-0 down. These lot with their mentality, their heads drop, Mourinho will be at them as well. I think we need to score first on Sunday, man.
That's what you said, man. But yeah, people, make sure you're subscribed. If you're not subscribed, please make sure you hit the like button. I hear you lot have been slacking. Please make sure you're subscribed to Curtis Shaw TV. He's steady rising. He's closing on 18K. Let's get him to that. You heard the man say he's doing a thing with Claude. You know, Claude is always going to be one for entertainment and one that can give you value. So make sure you head over there at 2 p.m, people. But we're out of here now, man. I'll be back later, and I'll obviously, I'll be back later. I've got a couple of live streams. Saturday, I'll be back as well. You know me. I'm like, not that I've had this, but I'm like herpes. You'll never get rid of me, sort of thing. I had to throw in that disclaimer. You know, it can get a bit crazy. It can get bad people, but like, love for the comments. I'm seeing you lot say great show. You know, shout out Curtis for coming and supporting the thing. You know, we'll be back next on his channel. And yeah, man, we'll keep doing this. We'll keep being in your face. We'll keep reacting to Arsenal, whatever happens. Hopefully, the next time we're together, we're grinning teeth and we're saying if and but and all of these typical Arsenal fan things. But until then, I'm not too sure. Love for the love, people. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Every like helps the man them get shown in more other people's recommended videos. Please make sure you're subscribed to Curtis. We have been doing this as a regular weekly thing, and we're going to continue to do this. You're going to get 2 a week at some point on some day. So again, be subscribed to both. Make sure you're looking at both's content. Make sure you've got reminders and the rest of it. Big up everybody in relation to the Twitch as well. Thank you very much. And I forgot to mention, it got lost, but big up to C as well. I see you've become a member of my page. I really appreciate that. But I keep saying we're out. We're really out now. Bless people. We're out.